Welcome today. My name is Gima. I am a full-time EEST instructor located here in Marietta, Georgia. Today we're going to be demonstrating on how to make a straight-through cable using 568B termination standard. Okay, now with this standard, we're going to follow the following pinouts. Okay, now you have two standards. You have 568 and 568B. But through my travels, I've seen 568B used a little more commonly, so that's why we're going to demonstrate that here today. All right. Now, so we have a couple of tools here that we're going to utilize as we get ready to go through our demonstration. You have your crimper. Now, the crimper is actually designed to be able to terminate, or crimp, I should say, both RJ45 as well as RJ11, which is more telephone. But today we're going to, of course, do RJ45. We have our stripper, and we have our electrical scissors, better known as our snips in the field. And we also have our cable analyzer, which this is actually the tool that you're going to utilize to, when you get done terminating, we're going to connect one end to the source and one to the destination, and we're going to test out the pinouts to ensure that the terminations were done correctly. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to use the stripper and we're going to actually take off the outer jacket. All right. So you have with this kind of stripper right here, the first location is actually used for coaxial cable. So we're going to utilize the second one. And basically, in a nutshell, whenever I'm doing it, I normally give myself about 2.5 to 3 inches to work with. Okay. So all I'm going to do here is just rotate twice to the front, rotate twice to the back, and just simply pull off. Okay. Now, I learned this method several years back. This is something that I've done for several years. It's what I call the tree method. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my white, blue, blue dead center, and I'm going to have my white, brown, brown going to the right, my white, orange, orange going to the left, which is facing me, and then my white, green, green, I'm going to have that facing that, and that's what we call a tree method, all right? And you're going to see how I utilize this method shortly. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start I work from the center out, from pins 4 and 5, for my blue and my white blue. So I take my, and how I normally do this is basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my base right here, and I'm going to kind of stretch out my conductors. And then so next I'm going to take my white, orange, orange pair and move my conductors. I'm going to follow my color code. So right now I have my blue and my white blue. Now I'm unraveling my white, green, and my green. Okay. Now, once again, I normally hold my base, and I know, and basically what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that as I pull my conductors, I'm actually keeping them in sequence as far as the color code or meeting the standard. Next, I'm going to go ahead and do my pins 1 and 2. And once again, I put like what I call like a little J hook in here. It makes it kind of easier once you actually take your hands off, the conductors doesn't become unraveled. And then I'm going to do my pins 7 and 8, my white, brown, brown. Okay, and so, and I put a nice tight hook in here. So when I look at my color code, I can basically see that I'm following my standard, which I have here on the board, which is my white, orange, 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 white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. Now, this is kind of a technique that I learned over the years. When you get ready to cut your conductors, before you get ready to put on the RJ45 connector, which I have it written here, the RJ actually stands for register jack. So most people don't say register jack, they simply say RJ11 or either RJ45, but I just wanted to kind of make that point right there of what the RJ actually stands for. When you are getting ready to put the pins on, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the pins are facing you. You have a clip that's going to be on the back side. You want to make sure that the clip is downward. So when you're looking downward at the actual connector, you can actually see all 8 pins, all right? So what I'm going to do is, before I actually cut off my excess, I'm going to make sure I have a good grip at the bottom of the conductors. And how I normally gauge it is I normally go with my nail bed. So that's about the max that I'm going to leave uncut once I get done cutting it. So, and you want to make sure that you go through like just a smooth, clean cut. And this is the key. Do not let go of the conductors. When you cut them short, if you let go, they just go like this. They fan out, and it's going to be really, really difficult to actually get the conductors into the RJ45 and maintain your proper pin out. So at this point, I'm just going to start to slide them in. And I put a little force because a couple things I want to do. I want to make sure that my jacket goes in somewhat into the actual RJ45 connector. Second thing I'm trying to do is I'm going to look to the side, and you can see where the actual pins actually will eventually make contact once you crimp it, metal to metal contact. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to actually look directly into the RJ45 connector. And what I should be able to see is I should be able to see the actual metal conductor actually butted up at the end of the RJ45 connector. So once I have that and everything looks well, I'm going to take my crimper and I'm going to insert the RJ45 connector with cable into the crimper. I'm going to put a little force on it because I want to make sure that I am butting all of my conductors at the end of the actual RJ45 connector. And just simply squeeze. Slight tug, everything seems to be nice and tight. My goal is whenever I make a connector is I try to get the connector looking as close as it would be if it was actually a fabricated RJ45 connector. All right, so let's do the other end. So once again, we're going to go through the same sequence. We're going to strip roughly around 2.5, 3 inches. 1, 2, then back 1, 2, and then simply pull off. Once again, we're going to go through our tree method. So my white, blue, blue up, my white, brown, brown to my right, my white, orange to my left, and then my white, green, green is going to face me. Once again, you're going to go ahead and work from the middle. Now, your technique may be slightly different, but I just always found it easier to work from the middle in this case and then out. All right. So my pin 4 is going to be my blue connector. My pin 5 is going to be my white blue connector. Then once again, I'm going to take my white, green, green. And as we unravel this, we're going to, put it in its proper place. We're going to put our white, green on pin 3, and we're going to put our green on pin 6. And once again, just going to hold it at the base. Make sure your color code is correct. Straighten it out, pull. It takes a little bit of work to do this. I've always tell people that this is one of the type of jobs that you do that repetition actually pays off. It becomes a lot easier to do the more you do it. Next, I'm going to do my pins 7. and 8, which is my white, brown, brown. And once again, anytime I straighten them out, I always make sure that I make sure my color code is still in place, which everything is still there. Okay, because it's easy for the conductors to kind of twist on you a little bit when you're doing this piece. All right, and now I'm going to do my last pair, twisted pair I should say. Once again, straighten it out, keep the base nice and tight, put like the J hook in there once again. And once again, you're going to take your nail, about the length of your nail bed from where you rung it to about the end. That should be sufficient. And once again, you want to make sure that your RJ45 connector, when it's facing down, the clip is on the bottom, your pins are facing you. Okay. Okay. Check both sides. Everything looks good. And once again, we're going to go ahead and get ready to crimp it. All right. Now at this point, you can physically look at it and see that it seems to be a good connector, good connection on both ends, but you want to make sure you test it. So in your toolkit, you've been given a cable analyzer. One of the purposes that you can use for this particular testing tool is to test, in this case, your pinouts, to make sure that if you're doing a straight through cable, which means that you're going to have the same pinouts on both ends. If it's 568B, it's 568B. Now I do want to clarify one thing. You do have another type of termination, which is the 568A. A straight through cable can be either 568A on both ends or 568B. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong. So just want you to understand that. All right, so all you have to do is just simply pull out the bottom piece of the tube. And what you're going to do here is you have different ports. You're going to simply plug in the Ethernet cable into the port on the main device, and then you're going to plug it into the Ethernet port on the destination end. And what we're going to do here is all we're going to do is just simply hit the network icon. And when you hit the network icon, it's going to go through its test. And we had a successful pass. All 8 pins lined up, pins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this is what you want to use to make sure to verify that your terminations on your RJ45 connector was done correctly. I would like to say thank you once again.